In the remote forests of Bavaria. Surrounded by silent trees. And long stretches of frozen farmland. There once stood a lonely farmhouse known as Hinterkaifeck. A place where a family lived their final days trapped in fear. And where a killer lived among their dead bodies. This story is not fiction. It is one of the most disturbing unsolved crimes in European history. And tonight, we open the vault to a mystery that has haunted investigators for more than 100 years. This is Hinterkaifeck. Hinterkaifeck wasn't a town. It wasn't a village. It was a single farmhouse. Standing alone between deep woods and miles of empty land. No neighbors close enough to hear a cry for help. No passing travelers to witness anything unusual. Just the Gruber family. Isolated. Forgotten. And watched. The farmhouse belonged to Andreas Gruber, a man in his mid-60s. Hard. Cold. Strict to the bone. Villagers described him as harsh and controlling, a man whose very presence could silence a room. His wife, Kazilia, lived quietly beside him. Their daughter, Victoria, a widow, lived there with her 2 children. 7-year-old Kazilia Jr. and 2-year-old Joseph. On the surface, they appeared to be a normal Bavarian farming family. But inside the walls of Hinterkaifeck, the atmosphere was tense, heavy, and deeply troubled. Months before their deaths, things began happening that the family could no longer ignore. It started quietly. Keys disappearing. Creaks in the floorboards when nobody was walking. Soft footsteps coming from the attic. Long after the lamps had been blown out. The family searched the house many times. They found nothing. But the sounds continued. One morning, Andreas walked outside into fresh snow. And what he found chilled him to the bone. Footprints. Leading from the forest. Straight to the farmhouse. But there were no footprints going back out. Someone, or something, had entered the property. And never left. A few days later, the family found a newspaper on their property. From a town no one had visited. Andreas accused the postman. The postman denied it. No one ever discovered who brought the newspaper. Or how it got inside. The atmosphere grew so unsettling that the family's maid, who lived with them, couldn't take it anymore. She claimed she heard footsteps in the attic almost every night. She felt watched. Ordered. Followed. And one day, she ran. Without saying goodbye, without taking her belongings. She left Hinterkaifeck and never returned. 6 months passed. The family lived alone. Dealing with strange noises and missing objects in silence. Then, on March 31, 1922, a new maid arrived. Her name was Maria Baumgartner. She came carrying a small suitcase. Hopeful that this new position would bring her stability. She had no idea that the previous maid fled the property in terror. No one told her about the footsteps. No one told her about the missing keys. No one told her about the footprints in the snow. That evening was her first night at Hinterkaifeck. And tragically, it was her last. The details of what happened next remain some of the most terrifying in true crime history. Sometime during the night of March 31st, the killer made their move. One by one, members of the family stepped outside toward the barn. Maybe they heard a noise. Maybe the animals were restless. Whatever lured them there, it brought them face to face with death. Inside the barn, each family member was murdered with a heavy, sharp tool, believed to be a mattock. They didn't die instantly. Some showed signs of struggle. 7-year-old Kazilia Jr. was found with her hair pulled out in clumps, suggesting she was alive long enough to react in terror. It is one of the most heartbreaking details of the crime. Inside the house, the killer murdered Maria, the new maid, in her room. And finally, little Joseph, sleeping in his crib. Normally, killers flee the scene. Panic rises. Fear takes over. But not here. At Hinterkaifeck, the killer stayed. Villagers passing by noticed smoke rising from the chimney. The farm animals were fed. The cows had been milked. Bread was sliced. Dinner was eaten. Someone slept in the beds. Someone lived inside that house. For 3 to 4 days. After the entire family had been murdered. This is the detail that haunts investigators to this day. The killer didn't rush. The killer didn't hide. The killer made themselves at home. When neighbors finally entered the property on April 4th, they were greeted with a nightmare. 4 bodies in the barn. 2 inside the house. And an eerie stillness. As if the killer had only just left. Police arrived shortly after. But tragically, the entire scene had been contaminated. Dozens of villagers had walked in and out of the barn, trying to help, accidentally destroying footprints, fingerprints, and crucial evidence. Detectives found signs of living. The stove warm. Food scraps in the kitchen. Recently used bedding. All confirming that the murderer remained at Hinterkaifeck for days. Living among the dead. The first suspect was a neighbor named Lorenz Schlittenbauer. A man with a complicated relationship with Victoria. Some believe the murders were motivated by jealousy. Or revenge. But no evidence ever proved his involvement. Another theory suggests a homeless drifter, someone living in the forest, slipped into the house months earlier. And hid in the attic. But why stay after the murders? Why feed the animals? Why eat dinner in the home of the people you killed? There were rumors of forbidden relationships within the family. Motive strong enough for violence. But again, nothing was proven. Some investigators believed no single person could commit the murders with such calm precision. They suspected two killers. Working together. Waiting in the shadows. But the truth? Lost to time. A century has passed. The farmhouse was demolished. The land returned to silence. But the mystery of Hinterkaifeck remains. A family slaughtered. A killer who lived among the dead. And a case that, to this day, has never been solved.